अपि च ब्राह्मणो न हन्तव्यः इति चैवमाद्य निवृत्तिः उपदिश्यते न च सा क्रिया नापि क्रियासाधनम् अक्रियार्थानाम् उपदेशः अनर्थकश्चेत् ब्राह्मणो न हन्तव्यः इत्यादि निवृत्ति उपदेशानाम् अनर्थक्यं प्राप्तं तच्च अनिष्टम् अपि च, and furthermore, brahmano na hantavyah, a brahmana should not be killed. Iti cha evam adya nivrittihi upadishyate. By statements such as this, nivrittihi upadishyate. What is it that that statement instructs about? Nivritti, not pravritti. Of course, they call nivritti also an activity, and pravritti also an activity. Pravritti is considered mimamsakas as an activity of engagement in an action, and nivritti is also considered to be an activity of disengagement of an action. Here we say that this nivritti or cessation or refrainment from an action only brings about a cessation and brings about inactivity or indifference on the part of the person, does not bring about any positive action, either physical or mental, on the part of the person. Iti evamadya nivrittihi upadishyate na cha sa kriya. This nivritti, this refrainment from action or cessation of action is not a kriya. Napi kriya sadhanam, nor does it become a means for bringing about the kriya. Let us say that Agnihotram juhuyat, that one should perform Agnihotra karma, that may not be kriya. It just gives you the knowledge of Ishta sadhanata, that Agnihotra is a means for something desirable, and that brings about in me an activity of performing Agnihotra karma. If I entertain a desire, if I am the adhikari, Swarga kamo jyotishtomena yajeta, in that case, if I am a Swarga kama, if I am the one desirous of heavens, then that statement will first give me the knowledge. Even if you say it gives knowledge of Ishta sadhanata, that jyotishtoma is Ishta sadhanam, a means for attainment of Swarga, then that knowledge will again prompt me into activity of performance of the Agnihotra. So even if that knowledge of Ishta sadhanata of Agnihotra is not a kriya, it is kriya sadhanam, in as much as it brings about an activity. So this is the Vedantin's opinion. As we said the other day, there are three opinions as to what does a vidhi do. Such instruction, what does it do? So Vedantins think that it only gives the knowledge of Ishta sadhanata. Then Bhattas think that it means bhavana. Means it sets in the mind a whole chain of mental activity which ultimately results into performance of the kriya. Whereas the Prabhakaras believe that this vidhi means apurva. That is called vidhi when actually you perform the action and apurva punya is created. That is what the vidhi does. All of that will be done by vidhi. Gives you the knowledge, and it impels you into activity and brings about an apurva. So this is what they say. So in that case, if it is bhavana, then this vidhi itself is kriya. However, even if we accept vidhi as just knowledge of Ishta sadhanata, then also it becomes the kriya sadhana, meaning it becomes means for at least impelling me into activity. In that case, even that knowledge becomes kriya sadhanam. Because as a result of knowledge, I am prompted into an activity of performance of the action. Here it is said, this nivritti or refrainment from killing itself is not a kriya, not an action, naja kriya sadhanam, nor this absence of action can be a means for another action. That this impels me into some other activity, this knowledge that Brahmana hatya is anishta sadhanam, that knowledge does not bring about any activity also. So it is neither kriya nor kriya sadhanam. And therefore it is akriyartham. This vakya is what? Akriyartham. Anarthakyam atadarthana. Atadarthana means akriyarthanam. So this happens to be a statement which does not bring about any activity. And therefore if you say it is anartha, if also it is meaningless or useless, it is not a pramanam, then akriyarthanam upadesha anarthakaschet. brahmano na hantavya, then ityadi nivritti upadesha anarthakyam praptam, then all such statements, kalanjam na bhakshayet, whatever, suram na pivet, and so many such statements, himsam na kuryat, na himsya sarvabhuta, there is a whole class of what we call prohibitive statements. All of them will fall in the category of pramanam, because they do not bring about any activity, neither are they of the nature of action, nor do they become the means for any action on the part of the respondent, and therefore all of them will have to be classified as useless. Since you cannot classify them as useless, even though they do not have kriya sattvam, therefore Vedanta also, even though they do not have kriya sattvam, should not be classified as useless. This is the whole thrust of argument. Here, see page 179, Purnanandya explains the Bhashya. Bhashya evamadya iti. Evamadya means evamadi vakyeshu pratipadya ityartha, nivritti. In vakyas such as brahmano hantavya and similar vakyas, nivritti pratipadya. Upadishyate means nivritti pratipadya. These vakyas actually teach us or instructs us about nivritti or refrainment from activity. Adi shabdena evamadi. So adi shabdena evamadi vakyeshu. Adi is nahanyat, nabived ityadi vakyam gruhyate. Nahanyat should not be, one should not kill. Nabived, one should not drink. So all these whole class of statements are included. Atra nivritti shabdena, Bhashyakara says nivritti upadishyate. What do you mean by nivritti? Atra nivritti shabdena hanana abhavarupa na yartha. This na actually is na. The original word is na. Ya usually is deleted, and therefore it finds the application as na. It is also said that when this na is applied to any word, then it gets the adesha a. And whenever that word happens to begin with a vowel, then the adesha becomes an. So na hantavya. And then when that na is added to dharma, adharma, then that na gets the adesha a, adharma. If that word dharma happens to begin with a vowel, like artha, that anartha, anartha. So whether it is na, or whether it is a, or whether it is an, all of them fall in the category of na, negating particles or negative particles, understand? Atra nivritti shabdena hanana abhavarupa na artha. Na means that negative particle. Na artha nivritti, that which is the meaning of the negative particle, nivritti or cessation or refrainment from activity. Hanana abhavarupa, of the nature of hanana abhava, absence of this abhava word is important. What does it do? Even if suppose a person is about to engage into action of hurting or killing a Brahmana, hanan can mean hurting also or killing. Then when you hear this instruction, brahmano na hantavya, then what does it do? That activity in which you are about to engage, you desist from that activity. And that is how hanan abhava. There is now on your part an absence of hurting or killing. So this prohibition brings about a cessation of activity, absence of activity. So nivritti shabdena hanana abharupa na yartha nivritti. Abhava is absence of killing. That kind of nivritti. What is nivritti? Absence of a kriya. It's called nivritti. Nivritti itself is not a kriya. The word of nivritti here is not another kriya. But here the word nivritti is in the sense of absence of the kriya. Then pravritti becomes kriya and nivritti becomes absence of kriya. In the sense that the word nivritti is employed here. If nivritti, you see a snake and there is a nivritti running away, then that running away also is a pravritti. Usually pravritti and nivritti are understood that pravritti is an action for sukha prapti. Like you see a piece of silver there and then there is an activity to go and pick it up. And nivritti is you see a snake and you run away or you back off from that snake. That is called nivritti usually. So nivritti is from dukkha and pravritti is towards sukha. So usually both pravritti and nivritti, both of them mean activity. One activity of approaching, other is activity of receding. However, the meaning in which the word nivritti is employed here is hanana abhava rupa nivritti. That's why they are clarifying that nivritti here means absence of this action of killing. Sa nivritti nacha kriya. Bhashyakara says sa nacha kriya. That nivritti nacha sa kriya. Sa is nivritti. That nivritti itself is not a kriya. Is absence of kriya. Is not a kriya. What is kriya? Krutijanya karya rupana bhavati. Kriya is the karya as an action that is brought about as a result of some activity, kriti. So as a result of some chesta or result of some movement of the limbs, you bring about what is accomplished is called kriya. So it is not a kriya which involves some activity. Atyanta bhava rupatvena siddhatvat, because it is absolute total non-existence of kriya. And therefore, there is no activity involved in the part of the person. There is just a refrainment or total cessation of the action of killing, and therefore, no activity is involved. When you desist from an action, or when you refrain from an action, when you don't do anything, that does not involve any activity, and therefore, this hanana bhava rupa nivritti is not a kriya. Atyanta abhava rupatvena siddhatvat napi kriya sadhanam. So, nacha sa kriya, napi kriya sadhanam. Nor is this nivritti, or in the nature of absence of kriya, is a kriya sadhanam, that it brings about another kriya. Abhava rupayaha nivrittehe krutijanya karyam prati ahetutvat. This absence of activity itself cannot become a means for generating another activity. What can generate another activity? Itself is of the nature of activity which can become the cause of another activity. But here this is absence of activity. Therefore, abhava rupayaha nivrittehe, nivritti which is of the nature of abhava or absence, krutijanya karyam prati ahetutvat. It cannot become hetu or the cause for generating another activity, action which requires some activity. Abhava pratyakshe karye vishayattvena abhavasya hetutvat tadvaranaya karye krutijanyatva visheshana vidi mantavyam. This here he says, so krutijanya karya rupa pravritti. So abhava pratyakshe karye, what happens is, when we say that there is an absence of a part here, is there a part here on the table? You say no. Part is absence. So that is supposed to be the knowledge of absence of part. This is called anupalabdhi. Anupalabdhi means absence of knowledge. Or knowledge of absence, rather, sorry, not absence of knowledge, knowledge of absence, anupalabdhi. So there is a knowledge of absence of a part. That knowledge is generated because of what? Because of absence of the part. So there is what we call ghata abhava, or absence of part, and that ghata abhava brings about the knowledge of what? Ghata abhava. It brings about knowledge of the absence of the part. So absence of the part becomes the cause for the knowledge of absence. Abhava becomes what? The cause for the knowledge of abhava. Like presence of ghata would become the cause for the knowledge of ghata, so the absence of a part becomes the cause for the knowledge of part. So therefore that abhava jnanam is what? The effect of the abhava of the part. Absence of the part brings about the knowledge of the absence. So knowledge of the absence is generated as a result of the absence of the part. So abhava jnanam becomes the effect or karya of the abhava. So ghata abhava jnanam, the knowledge of the absence of the part, is a result of ghata abhava. And therefore, so abhava pratyaksha means the perception of the abhava is karya. Perception of the absence is a karya. And therefore, if you say that this kriya is just karyam or the effect, in that case, this perception of the abhava also will become a kriya. So krutijanya karya is effect. An effect that is created as a result of some activity. So krutijanya karya rupa, karya should be there understood as effect. And kruti is to be understood as activity. So kriya is that, is the effect created as a result of some activity, is called kriya. Now, abhava jnanam also is created, but not created as a result of activity. Knowledge is not created as a result of activity, and therefore, in order that abhava jnanam be not classified as kriya, they are defining kriya as krutijanya karya rupa. Not karya rupa, not that which is a product, But Kruti Janya Karya Rupa, a product that is Janya, born of Kruti or activity. You know to exclude that Abhava Pratyaksha or Abhava Jnanam. Abhava Pratyaksha Karya Vishayattvena Abhavasya Hetutvat. Because Abhava is the Vishaya of that knowledge of Ghata Abhava. What is the Vishaya? Ghata Abhava is the Vishaya. So it is the knowledge which is characterized by absence of part. Hetutvat Tadvaranaya Karye Kruti Janyatva Visheshanam. In order to exclude that Karye, in defining the Kriya, so that is Kriya is Karya Rupa, Karya Kruti Janyatva Visheshanam. That Karya is qualified as Kruti Janya Karyam. So Kriya is what? Kruti Janya Karyam. Not just Karyam. If you call it just Karyam, then Abhava Pratyaksha also will become Karyam, or as a result of Abhava, so it will be classified as Kriya. It says Kruti Janya Karya Rupa. This is their own problem which they are solving, okay? I mean, in the sense that when you give a definition, the definition then creates some questions. Somebody says, wait a minute, Abhava Pratyaksha or Abhava Jnanam also is Kriya, born of Abhava. Effect born of Abhava, therefore that also will be classified as Kriya? Says no, it's Karyam, born of Abhava is not Kriya because it's not Kruti Janya. Okay, now this much is explanation of Bhashya. Now go to Ratna Prabha, page 180. न प्रकृत्यर्थेन संबंधात् हनन अभावः न अर्थः. Now this is interesting here, that hantavya, in this expression there is prakriti and there is pratyaya. Prakriti is the original root and pratyaya is the suffix that is added to the root. So han is a dhatu and tavya is a pratyaya. So that han is called prakriti and tavya is called pratyaya. So this na hantavya, this na is connected with what? Is it connected with prakriti? First of all, na hantavya, is it connected with brahmana or is it connected with hantavya? The nakara should go where? Na brahmana hantavya or brahmana na hantavya, where should it go? Depends on where it goes, then the effects will be different. Na brahmana hantavya, abrahmana hantavya. The fellow is not a brahmana, should be killed. That is what the result will be. But it says no, this na should always go to the kriyapada. That na always should go to hantavya. Brahmana na hantavya. That brahmana should, otherwise there will be no negative at all. But then, therefore na, then na should always go with kriyapada. Because that has a compatibility. Yogyata should also be there when you connect them. And therefore, this na should go with the kriyapada. But in the verb also, kriyapada hantavya also, there are two elements. One is prakriti, other is pratyaya. And so prakriti is what? Han. Is the prakriti or the dhatu or the verb? The verb's root stem it is called. And then tavya is the pratyaya. So this nakara goes with what? There are opinions. What is the important element in this? Hantavya, so should be killed. Which is the important part here? That han, the root, the prakriti is important, or tavya, the pratyaya is important. Whichever is important, with that alone this nakara should go. That which is stronger always is with which the nakara should be connected. Some people believe that han, now the prakriti is the important one. Some people believe that pratyaya is important. Mimamsakas believe that pratyaya is stronger than prakriti. It is pratyaya, tavya pratyaya which determines, what determines the meaning of hantavya. Is it pratyaya that determines the meaning or the prakriti that determines the meaning? Han dhatu determines the meaning of the hantavya or tavya, pratyaya determines the meaning. Mimamsakas believe that it is pratyaya that determines the meaning. Dhatu actually only helps. Dhatu only helps in revealing the meaning of tavya. Other people say tavya helps in revealing the meaning of dhatu. You know, some people believe that tavya pratyaya helps in revealing the meaning of han. Mimamsakas believe that han only helps in revealing the meaning of tavya. And according to them, the pratyaya is the stronger or the more important one. And the dhatu is called upasarjana, that which is gauna, secondary, or like visheshana. Visheshana is like an adjective and tavya is like visheshya. Upasarjana, secondary, and tavya is pradhana, primary. So they would connect na with tavya. And therefore, Na hantavya. That means should not be killed. The tavya always reveals what we call ishta sadhanata. Tavya says something desirable is there. And this na tavya reveals then the undesirability. But then tavya involves some activity. Na tavya also involves some activity according to them. Here we say that na prakrutyarthena sambandhat. Prakriti is han. And han means to kill. So na is connected with prakriti. That is the important part. Sambandhat. Hanana abhavaha nai arthaha. Hanana abhava, absence of killing, is the meaning of the word, meaning of the particle na here. Na brings about absence of what? Absence of han. Not absence of tavya, but absence of han. Han means absence of hananam. So hanana abhavaha nai arthaha. Absence of killing is the meaning of han. What is tavya then? Ishta sadhanatvam tavyadi pratyartha. So any pratyaya, whether it is na bhakshayet, kalanjam na bhakshayet, then also yet becomes what? A pratyaya. And therefore, so therefore, that is ishta sadhanatvam. Bhakshayet should be eaten. Hantavya should be killed. And nakara makes a negative of it. But tavyadi pratyartha ishta sadhanatvam. That pratyaya always reveals ling, lord or tavya. This pratyaya reveals ishta sadhanatvam. Yajeta. So that takarta there, pratyaya, brings about what? The ishta sadhanatvam of the kriya of yajanam. So ishta sadhanatvam tavyadi pratyartha. Alright. Ishtaschatra naraka dukkha bhavaha. Sukha prapti also is ishta and dukkha nivrutti also is ishta. Except that for everyone, sukha prapti, attainment of happiness, dukkha nivrutti or cessation, refrainment from unhappiness, both are desirable by man. So, brahmano yajeta, that yajna is ishta sadhanam as much as it brings about swarga or some other desirable end. And na hantavya, that tavya brings about what? Na tavya. That tavya brings about here what? Ishta in terms of dukkha bhava, naraka dukkha bhava. So that ishtaschatra naraka dukkha bhava. Tat paripalako hanana bhava iti nisheda vakyartha. So what does this do? The nahantavya, what does it tell us? That there is ishta or desirable is naraka dukkha bhava, an absence of naraka dukkha, an absence of the pain and suffering which is there in naraka or hell, which no one wants. So tat paripalaka hanana abhavaha. That hanana abhava or absence of killing is paripalaka. It only protects or it keeps up what? The absence of the naraka dukkha. So, tat naraka dukkha abhava paripalakaha hanana abhavaha. The absence of the suffering in naraka is that which is protected by or kept up by or maintained by, let us say, maintained by the absence of killing. So, hanana abhavaha, absence of killing maintains that absence of suffering in the hell. Doesn't otherwise create anything. That yajanam will create some swarga, new effect. Apurva will be created. Hanana abhava does not create. It protects what is there. There is a difference here. So hanana abhava or absence of killing does not create a new effect. All it does is, right now I am not in hell. And absence of that hanana abhava keeps me where I am. And therefore, it just protects me or maintains my position. In case of yajna, yajeta, it actually creates a swarga for me, and that is how it creates a apurva, new effect. Hanana abhava, on the other hand, just maintains status quo. What is status quo? I am not in hell. And that status quo is maintained by the hanana abhava. This is important. That pravritti will bring about a positive effect and will create some sukha for me. This nisheda, on the other hand, maintains the status quo. Maintaining status quo is not an activity. Creating a new status is an activity. Maintaining status quo is not an activity. Even then, hanan abhavaha dukha abhava hetu iti uktau. Arthat hananasya dukha sadhanatvadhya purushaha nivartate. When we say hanan abhavaha dukha abhava hetu, that hanana bhava or absence of killing is hetu or the reason for dukkha bhava, absence of suffering. Really, it is not that absence of suffering is a product which is brought about by a cause called Hanana Bhava, but only Aupacharikata. In a secondary manner we say that Hanana Abhava is Dukkha Abhava Hetu. Because Dukkha Abhava is not brought about. It's just maintaining the status quo. So maintaining status quo is not a product of something which is already there. Except the status is not disturbed. Hanana Bhava, only the effect it serves is, it does not disturb the status quo, that's all. So Dukkha Bhava Hetu iti uktau, when we say that Hanana Bhava is the cause for Dukkha Bhava, it's not in a primary sense. If Dukkha Bhava was created as a result of Hanana Bhava, then we would say the Hanana Bhava is the cause. Dukkha Bhava is not created, it is there and it is maintained. Therefore Hanana Bhava is not cause in a primary sense. But since if Hanana Bhava were not there, Dukkha Bhava also would not have been there. From that standpoint we say that Hanana Bhava is in a secondary sense a cause for Dukkha Bhava. Arthat, so what it means is Hananasya Dukkha Sadhanatvadhya Purushaha Nivartada, means Hananat Nivartada. That's the idea there. Hananasya Dukkha Sadhanatvadhya. That this person has now the understanding, buddhi or the knowledge, that Hananasya Dukkha Sadhanatvadhya. Hananam is Dukkha Sadhanam. That killing is Dukkha Sadhanam or means of suffering. This is a knowledge that is generated. Brahmanona Hantavya. When it is said that Brahmana should not be killed, immediately the person understands that killing will land me into hell or land me into all kinds of pain and suffering. And therefore, this knowledge or buddhi is generated in him. Purushaha Hananat Nivartate. And that is how a Purusha or the person is prevented from the killing, act of killing. Natra Niyoga Kaschidasti. Here is no Niyoga. Niyoga is not Apurva. No new effect is created. No new effect is created here. Niyoga is Apurva, means a new effect is created usually. What would we call Kriya or activity which creates a new effect? There is no new effect is created by Hanana Bhava. Therefore we say that Hanana Bhava is also not Kriya. And therefore Niyoga also can mean Vidhi. Here this is not to be understood as Vidhi, because Vidhi or injunction must necessarily create Apurva or that effect. But since if Apurva is not created, this also is not to be branded as Vidhi. Meaning it does not prompt into any, does not impel any activity. If it impels some activity, that activity should necessarily create an effect in terms of some desirable effect like Apurva. We should create some effect for me, result for me. That is not the case. And therefore, Natra Niyoga Kaschidasti Tasya Kriya Tat Sadhana Dadhyadi Vishatvat. What is Niyoga? Niyoga, if you understand Niyoga as Apurva, then Apurva is brought about by Kriya. And Kriya is brought about Dadhi, or etc. And therefore, Dadhi is what? Kriya Sadhanam. So Dadhi Soma is Kriya Sadhanam. So either Dadhi can also bring about Apurva, you can say, by way of Kriya, or Kriya brings about Apurva. Hanana Bhava is neither Kriya nor Kriya Sadhanam, and therefore Hanana Bhava does not bring about any, it should not be classified as Niyoga. This is the idea here. All of this is explained by Purnanandiya on the page 180. Vyakhyane Prakrityarthena iti. So what is the Vyakhyanam? First line, Naha Prakrityarthena Sambandhat. Prakrityarthena Hananena ityarthaha. The Han is the Prakriti. Says, Siddham Dukkha Abhavam Prati Hanan Abhavasya Hetutva Sambhavat. Siddham Dukkha Abhavam Prati. Dukkha Abhavam is already there. Siddha means is already existing. Right now, Dukkha Abhava already is existing. Absence of pain or suffering or hell is existing. So, an existing thing is not created. So, Hanana Abhava Abhavasya Hetutva Sambhavat. You cannot say that Hanana Abhava is a Hetu or the cause that brings about the Dukkha Abhava. It's not so. Aupacharikam Hetutvam. Therefore, in a secondary sense alone we say that Hanana Abhava is a Hetu for Dukkha Abhava. Idamatvaha Tat Paripalakaha. Ishtaschatra Naraka Dukkha Abhava Tat Paripalakaha Hanana Abhava. Hanana Abhava is that which maintains the Dukkha Abhava. That's all. Paripalanam Rakshanam. That which protects, maintains. Tasya Hetuhu Paripalakaha. So we call Paripalaka is Paripalana Hetuhu. So that which maintains the status of absence of dukkha. In that sense, we say that Hanana Bhava is the cause for dukkha bhava, but not in a primary sense. हनन अभावः दुःख अभावस्य यथा स्थितिं करोति इति एतावता साधनत्व व्यपदेशः इति भावः. हनन अभावः, absence of killing, दुःख अभावस्य यथा स्थितिं करोति, the manner in which the absence of killing maintains the absence of dukkha. From iti etavata, only from that standpoint, or only because of that, sadhanatva vyapadesha. Therefore we call hanan abhava a sadhanam for dukkha abhava, but not that dukkha abhava is created by hanan abhava, because dukkha abhava is already there, and hanan abhava maintains that dukkha abhava. That's all. वाक्यार्थमुत्वा निषेध वाक्यार्थः. Say Ratnaprabha, hanan abhava iti nisheda vakyartha. That vakyartha brahmano hantavya, that vakyartha is given by Ratnaprabha. Naha prakrutyarthena sambandhat hanan abhavaha nayartha ishta sadhanatvam tavyadi pratyartha ishtaschatra naraka dukkha abhava tat paripalako hanan abhava iti nisheda vakyartha. This long explanation is the explanation of na hantavya. Brahmana is not even added here. Na hantavya means that. Vakyartha muktva, Ratnaprabhakara having given the vakyartha, meaning of the vakya, prakrutyartha bhava buddhi audasinya sthapana karana tattva. What is the tatparya? When you interpret na hantavya in this manner, what is the tatparya? What is the purport or intention? What is the intent? Tatparya means what is the intention here? Prakrutyartha abhava buddhi. That prakrutyartha is what? Hanana. Abhava buddhi means hanana abhava buddhi. Audasinya sthapana karanam. Audasinyam is indifference or inactivity is already there. Sthapana karanam, that inactivity is maintained by the buddhi. What buddhi? Hanan abhava buddhi. When I understand that hananam is anishta sadhanam, that hananam will create a lot of dukkha. Therefore, is generated in me hanana abhava buddhi, that I should not kill. So hanana abhava buddhi, or this knowledge of the absence of hanana abhava buddhi, means also this resolve on my part, or this understanding on my part that I should not kill is generated when I hear na hantavya. What does that buddhi do? Audasinya sthapana karanam. It only maintains audasinyam or inactivity which is already there in me. I may be about to act, but na hantavya, when I hear, that inactivity is maintained. As Swami sometimes gives an illustration, comparing human being with animals. So how, for example, human being has this faculty of choice. Now here is freedom of free will. So freedom of choice human being has. Kartum shakyam, akartum shakyam, anyatha va kartum shakyam. To do it, not to do it, or do it one way. This kind of freedom of choice is not there with animals. Like a donkey, for example, who is standing there facing the wall. Then he will give 5 minutes lecture on why donkeys face wall, for whatever reason, So donkey is facing a wall, a compound wall. So donkeys always stand that way. And suppose even the owner of the donkey happens to go there, at that time donkey is in a given mood, then this donkey will kick the owner also, without realizing the consequences. Then it may get all dapana, that's a different thing. But before that, donkey doesn't think of the consequence, because it doesn't have a choice. When the mood comes that I should kick, it kicks. It doesn't have a choice. When that impulse comes, it does it without the choice of not kicking. Whereas, suppose you or I are there, and here is a person who says something to us, and there is a desire to kick, and I am about to do that, and then all of a sudden, I notice the person standing in front of me. He is 6 feet 3 inches, 200 pounds, and therefore, that the pravritti on my part of raising my foot, it just remains there, because akartum shakyam. In me, there is this choice that I may kick, or I may not kick, or I may kick at a different time, I may wait for an opportunity. When that fellow is in a position of disadvantage, that time I may kick. But anyway, so how refrainment comes. So because he told me something or did something to me, therefore I wanted to kick. And then there is a anishta buddhi, that kicking this person will bring about all kinds of anishta, will land me into hell, with broken bones in the hospital, So when that knowledge, all that buddhi arises, then there is what? He doesn't know that all this happened in me. He doesn't, otherwise he will take care of me anyway. Even if he thought that I wanted to kick him, perhaps he will kick me anyway. But anyway, he does not even know what all happened in me. Because this kind of activity in me is not even known. So they were maintained. The status quo is maintained. Formally also there was an absence of kicking, and the absence of kicking is maintained. So audasinya sthapanam. Inactivity is maintained, that's all. What this buddhi? What buddhi? Anishta buddhi. The anishta buddhi is created in me, and therefore there is sthapanam. There is the maintenance of audasinyam. That's what it says. Audasinya sthapana karanam. So this prakrutyartha abhava buddhi, hanan abhava buddhi is audasinya sthapana karanam. All that buddhi that is maintains audasinyam. It does not create anything new. This is important. This is the tattva. This is the intention of the Nisheda Vakya. So they said, Ratnavraga, Hanan Abhavaha, Dukkha Abhava Hetu. Even though when you call it Hetu, then the product is Karyam. Karyam is something that is generated. The moment you say that Hanan Abhavaha is Dukkha Abhava Hetu, that means Hanan Abhavaha creates Dukkha Abhava. Hetu is that which creates the effect. Cause always creates the effect. So if you say that Hanana Bhava is a cause or Dukkha Bhava, then Dukkha Bhava is something that is created. We say that nothing is created. Only status is maintained. So Hanana Bhava, Dukkha Bhava heti yuktau, arthat means what? Vyapti balat. On the strength of the Vyapti. What is Vyapti? Abhava Rupa Nivritti Yukta. Oh, Vyapti balat means, Vyapti you have to construe yourself here. What is Vyapti? Yatra yatra hanana bhava, tatra tatra dukkha bhava. That's all. So this is Vyapti. Wherever there is absence of killing, there is absence of dukkha. This we know. So this is knowledge. This is knowledge in us. That killing brings about dukkha. Since this knowledge is there, and then I am told don't kill, then that Vyapti, by that Vyapti is created in me this abhava buddhi that I should not kill. Hananat nivartate. So Ratnavraha says nivartate, he says Hananat nivartate. So Purushaha Hananat, maybe he has a different reading there, Hananat. So Purushaha Hananat nivartate, the person is prevented from killing. Now he says Nivritti dvividha, Abhava Rupa, Pratna Vishesha Rupa cha iti. So two kinds of nivrittis are there. One will be called nivritti, other is called audasinyam. So nivritti is twofold. Abhava Rupa, absence of something, Pratna Vishesha Rupa, involving a specific effort. So the car is going, and if you want to stop the car, there is a specific effort of applying the brake. So that nivritti is Pratna Vishesha Rupa. When the car is standing, then what is nivritti? Maintaining that's all. Don't accelerate the car. So here, you keep standing. That's one thing. When you are standing, to keep standing also is nivritti, with abhava rupa, absence of motion. When the car is moving, what is nivritti? Actually stopping the motion. So prayatna vishesha rupa, that brings about, and that necessitates a prayatna, a specific effort to bring about an absence of motion in the car. Naivacha abhava nivritti yukta. Of this, naivacha abhava rupa nivritti yukta. What is the nivritti by nai? Abhava, absence of activity, meaning maintaining the status. Car is already standing, and when you say there is a red light, so the car is standing and there is a red light, immediately there is a buddhi that if I drive through the red light, then there is anartha. Police will catch me, whatever it is. So moment you see the red light, a buddhi is created in you, should not go. If you are running, then red light brings about a prayatna vishesha of stopping the car. And you are standing already there. Sometimes it happens that you are standing there, traffic light, you are talking, the light becomes green and becomes red. Or there are 1,500 cars in front of you, and therefore by the time your turn comes, the light has already turned red. Then you are about to push, you see the red light, and then you stand there. So that is called abhava rupa nivritti. If you are already standing, then abhava rupa nivritti. If you are running, then prayatna vishesha rupa nivritti. Naivacha abhava rupa nivritti yukta. By this nahantavya abhava rupa. You are not killing right now. If you are killing and somebody says nahantavya, you actually refrain from that. But you are not doing anything. In that case, merely abhava rupa nivritti, absence of activity. तथा च हनन अभावः दुख अभाव हेतु iti. You know that from this statement, na hantavya, you understand. Hanan abhava, dukkha abhava hetu. That absence of killing is the hetu or the cause of absence of dukkha. Ini prakrutyartha abhava visheshyaka buddhya. So this buddhi or the knowledge that takes place in you. Which knowledge is visheshyaka, is qualified by what? Prakruti abhava, prakrutyartha abhava visheshyaka. What is prakruti? Prakruti is what? Hananam. Prakriti is han. Prakrutyartha is what? Hanana. And then na becomes what? Abhava. Prakrutyartha abhava is what? Hanana abhava. Hanana abhava visheshyaka buddhya. That buddhi that is qualified by the hanana abhava. So hanana abhava buddhi. The knowledge which is qualified by the absence of killing. Buddhya. Hanane dukkha sadhanatva dhi dwara. By that knowledge that hanana abhava, hananam is dukkha sadhanam. By that dukkha sadhanatva dhi dwara, that there is dukkha sadhan. Purushanishta prayatna vishesha rupa tushnim bhavakhya nivritti utpadyate. Then there is tushnim bhavaha. There is an effort on my part to refrain. Even if I am prepared to do something, there is a refrainment on my part, but that's all. Then I remain what? I remain silent. Tushnim bhava rupa. I remain silent or inactive. That's all. Nivritti utpadyate. Taya. So nivritti here is tushnim bhava rupa nivritti. Taya anadisiddha hanana praga bhava rupam audasinyam tasaiva sthapyate. Audasinyam is what? Anadisiddha hanana praga bhava rupam. Praga bhava means prior non-existence. So before an effect is created, the state that obtains just before the creation of effect is called praga bhava. So before the pot is created, the state that obtains is a lump of clay from which the pot is about to be created. Or even when, let us say that in a lump of clay, there is a potential of a pot. So we say that the pot is present in the lump by way of not being, with the potential, by way of potential. So in the lump of clay, there is a potential of a pot. But as long as that potential is not brought into manifestation, it just remains a potential. There is still an absence of pot. So therefore, the state that exists before the creation of pot is called prior non-existence of pot or pragabhava. And when did this pragabhava, when did it start? Anadisiddha. Pragabhava or prior non-existence has no beginning. It has an end. When you create the pot, then prior non-existence is destroyed or comes to an end. But when did it was it created? It was always there. As old as the clay is, so old the pragabhava is. And how old is the clay? Prakriti. Clay also was potentially there in something. We were potentially there in something. And it was all potentially there in Prakriti. And therefore, everything is beginningless. So pragabhava also is beginningless. So anadisiddha pragabhava. Pragabhava is always anadisiddha, means obtaining from the time beginningless. Anadisiddha pragabhava rupa rupam audasinyam. So anadisiddha pragabhava is called audasinyam. Audasinyam is inactivity of the nature of the prior non-existence, which has always been there in me. Why do they say anadisiddha pragabhava? Is already siddha. Pragabhava is already siddha. Siddha means already obtaining. Anadisiddha, always obtaining. So also this hanana bhava, non-killing also is something that is already obtained. There may be potential of killing in me, alright. But so far the non-killing is obtaining in me from the beginning. And therefore it is siddha. The idea is that hanana abhava is siddha. So our pragabhava is siddha. Hanana pragabhava is siddha, means already existing thing, already obtaining thing. Although you don't see it, it is there. In the clay, there is this ghata pragabhava. That prior non-existence of ghata is there in the clay. Otherwise, anadisiddha hanana pragabhava rupam audasinyam tasaiva sthapyate. So audasinyam is already obtaining. Audasinyam of the nature of prior non-existence is already obtaining. Tasaiva sthapyate. It is just retained as it is. That audasinyam or pragabhava or prior non-existence is not disturbed. When in me is created this buddhi, that hananam is anishta sadhanam. That buddhi retains the audasinyam of the nature of pragabhava. Tasmat prakrityartha abhava buddhi Prakrityartha abhava buddhi everywhere. In this case, prakrityartha is hananam. Wherever this na is there, prakrityartha abhava buddhi is carried out, brought about. So hanana abhava buddhi in this case, first hanana abhava buddhi, prakrityartha abhava buddhi, paramparaya audasinya karanam. So dukkha sadhanatva dhi dvara tushnim bhavakhya nivritti utpadyate taya hanana pragabhava rupam audasinyam tasaiva sthapyate. So abhava buddhi is there, that brings about a cessation of activity or refrainment of activity, and that refrainment of activity maintains the status of inactivity. You don't see much difference between them, but there is a potential of activity in me. That potential remains potential because I do not act. So my not acting keeps that potential in potential state. If I acted, that potential would have become an actual effect. So that audasinyam is hanana pragabhava in this case, and that is retained as it is, and therefore audasinya karanam. Therefore we say that this buddhi, hanana bhava buddhi, that is created by nahantavya, becomes a cause for maintenance of audasinyam. Then continuing on page 181, nanu nayarthena hanan abhavena eva niyogah sadhyate. Somebody says, nanu, question, nayarthena hanan abhavena eva. By the absence of hananam itself, niyogah sadhyate. Niyoga is apurva in this case, he explains, that even by refraining from this killing, niyogah sadhyate, some effect is created, he says. Tatascha niyoga parivasitam vakyam. We say audasinya parivasitam vakyam. We say that this vakya culminates in audasinyam or inactivity. They say that the vakya culminates into niyoga, into some kind of positive effect. Tatascha niyoga parivasitam vakyam iti tatraha. This is the question. Tatraha. So Ratna Prabhakara said, na atra niyoga. Here there is no niyoga. Niyoga apurvam ityartha. That this not doing anything on your part does not create apurva, does not create any new effect. Niyogo hi kriya tat sadhana vishayakaha. Niyoga or apurva can be created by kriya or the kriya sadhanam. Prakrutetu nasti kriya sadhanam cha. In this hanana bhava, there is neither kriya nor that abhava becomes the sadhanam for kriya. Yena niyogasya avakasha iti bhavaha. Therefore, niyoga does not have avakasha, does not have scope in this particular case. Nanu yaga anushthanat iva nayartha anushthanat niyoga hastu. So you see, you are doing something, he says. Still some activity is involved. Yaga anushthanat iva, just as you actually perform a yaga. And therefore, how a niyoga or apurva is created. So also here, you are actually doing something. Anushtanam. Anushtanam means so performance of nayartha. Performance of hanana abhava is there, he says. Nayartha anushtanat. That is the performance of the hanana abhava. Niyoga hastu. If you connect that na with tavya, then ahananam kartavyam. That's what will happen. That you should do something. This vakya could be interpreted both ways. So hananam na kartavyam or ahananam kartavyam. Hananam na kartavyam, one should not kill, or if na is connected with tavya, then ahananam kartavyam. That ahananam kartavyam is what? Ahananam kartavyam. One should actually do ahananam. one should actually do, or one should do non-killing. As though conveying the sense that doing non-killing also involves some effort or sankalpa on my part. So this is what Vedantins have to say, that this Nishedha Vakya does not bring about any effort in the terms of some sankalpa on my part. When you perform a yaga, constantly you have to make an effort, you maintain the sankalpa in your mind, I want to do yaga. And then that sankalpa alone actually enables you to complete that yaga. Although it may be very complicated and very involved process, then you may get fed up and tired and exhausted also, or whatever it is, but still because the sankalpa is there, you finish it. Like you start to build a house with all enthusiasm. After a house you have built, then you get fed up with that whole business, But then sankalpa is there. No, I want to complete the house. For whatever reason. How will it look? We have invested so much money in this, that and so forth. So I should do that. And that's how sometimes you start a thing. In between you want to give it up, but still you maintain your sankalpa. And that actually pushes that thing and the work is complete. And so sankalpa is required always to complete something, accomplish something. They say that this ahananam also involves the sankalpa. And that is what brings about hanana abhava. That I should not kill. I maintain a sankalpa. And that is how hanana abhava is created, they say. We say that no sankalpa is required. He is not killing to begin with. And even if he has intention of killing, this na hantavya gives him the knowledge that killing is anishta sadhanam, and therefore that intention will go away. In course of time, the fellow will become free from intention. That's what Bhashyakara will say. And therefore, he does not have to make a sankalpa all the time, I should not kill. If there is niyoga, then all along you will have to keep on doing sankalpa until nahananam is carried out, which is the whole lifetime you will have to do sankalpa. Not so. Because once you understood that hananam is anishta sadhanam, then the desire to kill also will not arise in you, and therefore no effort is there. Once audasinyam comes, then no further effort is required, and therefore no effort or sankalpa is required on the part of the person, and therefore no anushtanam or actual performance of action is there, therefore no apurva or niyoga is there. But that is the purvapaksha. Nanu yaga anusthānādiva nayartha anusthānāt niyogahastu. Let's say that just like performance of yaga, which is a vidhi, nayartha anusthānam, that this nahantavya also brings about an activity on the part of this person. Tathacha anusthita nayartha eva kriya. And therefore nayartha, also hanana bhava, that negation, the prohibition, also brings about some activity on the part of this person. So saeva kriya, that itself is kriya. Ityataha. If somebody wants to say that, then we say that nacha hanan abhava rupa, say Ratna Prabha. Second line, nacha hanan abhava rupa naivacha nivritti kriya. This is what we say, that hanan abhava rupa, absence of hananam, is naivacha, which is a direct meaning of na, nivritti, which is nivritti or refrainment from activity. It is not a kriya. Why? Abhavatvat. It is an absence of kriya. Absence cannot be kriya. Kriya always involves something positive. Hanan abhava is what? Abhava or absence. Abhavatvat. Since it is of the nature of absence or non-existence of kriya, therefore it cannot be called kriya. Napi kriya sadhanam, nor abhava or absence of something or non-existent thing can become means for creating something. Itself is not kriya, nor can it become a means for kriya. So, napi kriya sadhanam. This is what we explained here. Why? Abhavasya bhavartha ahetutvat. Abhava or non-existence or absence cannot become cause for an existence thing. So, non-existent seed cannot bring about a sprout. Non-existent clay cannot bring about a pot. And so also, abhava, non-existence, cannot bring about any existent thing. Abhavasya bhavartha. Bhava means a positive existent thing. Bhavartha, existent thing. Bhavartha ahetutvat. Non-existence cannot become the cause for an existent thing. Abhavartha asatvacha. Or what is bhava? Bhavartha asatvacha. What is abhava? It is absence of bhava. So it is opposed to bhava. Bhavartha asatvat means abhava is that which is opposed to bhava. It is opposed, therefore it cannot be along with bhava. So two reasons are given. Since abhava is absence of bhava, and therefore it cannot bring about bhava, And abhava being opposed to bhava also cannot bring about bhava. Therefore, abhava cannot become the cause for bhava. So, hanana abhava cannot become the cause for any kriya or any activity which involves a positive effort. Cannot be. That is the idea here. Bhavartha ahetutva means karya ahetutva. Abhava or absence, non-existence cannot become hetu or cause of karya or some kriya activity. Why? Bhavartha asatvacha iti. Abhavasya karya. Bhavartha was interpreted as karya. So abhavasya karya asat surupatvacha ityartha. Abhava is absence, and absence or non-existence is of the nature of non-existence of a kriya. Abhava nama karyasya asat swarupa eva virodhi swarupa eva iti yavata. Abhava is that which is opposed to bhava. Where abhava is, bhava cannot be. Where bhava is, abhava cannot be. Where pot is, non-existence of pot cannot be. Where pot is, non-existence of pot is, there the pot cannot be. So abhava is that which is opposed to bhava. So when it is opposed, it cannot be cause. Light is opposed to darkness. So light can never cause darkness, because light is opposed to darkness. So that is opposed, cannot be the cause of the opposite thing. And light also is absence of darkness. Therefore also light cannot become the cause of darkness. Light, if you say light is absence of darkness, then light cannot be cause of darkness. And light is opposed to darkness. Then of course definitely light cannot be the cause of darkness. So both ways, bhava is absence of abhava or that is opposed to abhava. Both ways. So abhava is what is it? Bhava asatvam, meaning absence of bhava, or bhava virodhi, opposed to bhava. Either way. तथा च अभावः कार्यं प्रति हेतुः न भवति इति भावः. Therefore, abhava or absence or non-existence cannot become the cause for bhava. न च इत्यादि भाष्यस्थ पदानि व्याचष्टे स्वभावतः इति. So, okay. Now we have to continue Ratna Prabha here. So, napi kriya sadhanam abhavasya bhavartha ahetutvad bhavartha asatvacha. That sattva word is used in the sense of bhava only, because abhava is abhava. Asatvat means absence, non-existence or opposed. Atah nisheda shastrasya siddharte pramanyamiti bhava. Therefore we say that nisheda shastram. What does it do? Siddharte. Siddha is what? Abhava is siddha. Prag abhava is anadi siddha. And prag abhava is anadi siddha. It just maintains. Nisheda shastra merely has the effect of maintaining the status quo in terms of the non-prior prag abhava or absence of activity or prior non-existence of activity. So, siddha, prag abhava is anadi siddha. Therefore it says, atah nisheda shastrasya siddharte pramanyam iti bhava. Though we say that nisheda shastra is pramanyam in siddharte. Vipaksha dandamaha. Suppose you don't say that. Vipaksha means what? Suppose he insists that nisheda shastra is not pramanam, is siddharte na pramanyam. Then akriyas, Bhashyakara said, akriyarthanam upadeshaha anarthakaschet. If we say that no, we say that then nisheda shastra is not pramanam. It is anarthaka. Then Brahma no hantavya ityadi nivritti upadeshanam anarthakyam praptam. If we say nisheda shastra is not pramanam, then all the statements, Brahma no hantavya, all of those statements will become apramanam. Let it be tacha anishtam. So you also don't like to say that Veda is apramanam. Every word of Veda is pramanam. For the Purva-Mimamsakas as well as for Vedantin, but in their own way. Purva-Mimamsakas may look upon pramanyam in one way. The Vedantins also call it pramanam, but in as they understand it. So according to them, nivritti is the goal of life, not pravritti. Anyway, therefore, this remaining in one's own swarupa is the ultimate goal. The Vedantins will say that the whole reason why the river is running and running is ultimately so that there is a cessation of activity. Not to keep it running. What for it is running? So that ultimately it is relieved of all the struggle of running and exerting. So nivritti is the goal. Those fellows say, no, pravritti, how can it reach? But once it reaches, then what? Then we say that if the river knew better, it did not even have to run. We would say that if the river knew better, it even need not run now. Because after meeting the ocean, what happens? The river merges into ocean. We say that river comes to know that I am ocean. Meaning, what is ocean? Is water. So water is ocean. Not that expanse of water, but the water itself is ocean. And therefore, even now also if the river knew that I am water, there is no need for the river to run there. This is what we will say. To become water, river doesn't do anything because it is water. So ultimately knowledge brings about all the cessation of what? Struggle. We are not opposed to activity, we are struggle. What exhausts a person, what wears out the person is a struggle. The struggle goes on. Activity can remain, because what else? The hands and legs are there, so the activity may go on. But the struggle is no more there. This is how the Tatparya is seen. And that's how the interpretation all along will be something that leads to this Tatparya. Those fellows' interpretation will be that which leads to Tatparya of activity. So keep connecting this way and that way to bring about technically. Then they argue on a technical point ultimately. So we have to argue with them also on technical point. These arguments are necessary because they can tell you connect it with this way and that way, and that will bring about different meaning. So therefore technically you have to meet them on their own ground. That's why we have to meet them on their own ground. That's all. Then says Bhashyakara, Nacha स्वभाव प्राप्त हन्त्यर्थ अनुरागेण नयः शक्यं अप्राप्त क्रियार्थत्वं कल्पयितुं हनन क्रिया निवृत्त्य उदासीन्य व्यतिरेकेण न च स्वभाव प्राप्त हन्त्यर्थ अनुरागेण नयः अनुरागेण संबंधेन स्वभाव प्राप्त हन्त्यर्थ हन्त्यर्थ is hananam स्वभाव प्राप्त this fellow is cruel so hananam is स्वभाव प्राप्त not that everybody this statement may not apply to everybody it applies to people who have that cruelty of killing suppose because of that some kind of problem within this cruelty is also a problem naturally. Everything other than jnana is a problem, and so that is only a matter of degree, that's all. So cruelty is always there in one way or the other. The cruelty may not be the extent of killing somebody or hurting somebody. Cruelty can be in different way of wishing inside, or whatever it is. So, but then himsa, by cruelty mean himsa to some extent or other is always going to be there unless one knows the truth. Until then himsa will be there in one degree. Avidya means himsa. Intensity of avidya will bring about intensity of himsa, that's all. So when a person is outwardly cruel, shows that ajnanam is really so intense. But inwardly persons, even that branding oneself as karta, bhokta also is himsa. So without our knowing also himsa is involved there. So that way swaha prapta himsa is there. Ajnanam is swaha praptam, naisargikaha, uncreated. And there was himsa in one degree or the other, so everybody can be excited at a given point. The reason alone has to vary, that's all. As long as ignorance is there, you can always excite him. It just requires a reason, adequate reason. Somebody with a tremendous self-control may require a great reason. And someone who doesn't have any self-control will require just a little thing, a flick, and then immediately he bursts out. Some people don't burst out for a long time, but even they will burst out. When enough important or enough serious thing has to happen. As long as ignorance is there, potentially himsa is there. So if we find ourselves bursting out, we should know that this is ignorance. Not that we actually justify bursting out, but we should know. Otherwise we feel very bad about things. And you may feel bad also, that also is okay. But still we should know that this is due to ignorance. And how ignorance made me feel that I am so and so. How that created abhimanam in me. How that created hurt in me. How that created this desire to revenge. How that created this action. At least you should deliberate upon the whole chain of activity. The mechanism you should deliberate. Therefore, you will not just, stop there by blaming yourself or blaming somebody. On the other hand, you can trace the whole chain of events, tracing up to ignorance. Then every time you will be able to know that it is ignorance which we should remove and not this person. Otherwise, you want to remove the person. We want to remove ourselves. Something we want to remove. That will not solve the problem. So, problem will solve when you remove ignorance. We should know that. Ignorance brings about raga dvesha, all right, solve that raga dvesha. That also you can only solve to a certain measure. Absolute solution of raga dvesha also can be there only when ignorance goes. When the cause goes, yes, by worship, by this yoga, etc., definitely we have to do to eliminate raga dvesha to a large extent. Ultimately, raga dveshas can go, anything will go only when ignorance goes. So potential is everywhere, there in everybody. Potential is there in everybody, except the causes vary. Somebody will get excited for 1 rupee, somebody will get excited for 5 rupees, somebody will get excited for 100 rupees, 1000 rupees, 10,000 rupees, a lakh of rupees, million rupees, crore rupees. Somebody will, even Birla also will get excited for something. He may not mind a loss of 5, 10, 100, 5,000, 10,000, a million rupees perhaps, but a crore rupees or 1 billion rupees, even he will get shaken up. You see? Anyway, that's by the way, but here, Svabhava Prapta Hantyartha Anuragena. Idea is that Hanti Hananam is Svabhava Praptam. When avidya is there, that Svabhava Praptam, but then person who is very cruel, in him alone that Hanana, that kind of a thing will be there. Hantyartha Anuragena Nayaha, that Naya, this Nakara, is Anuragena Sambandhena, is connected with Hantyartham. Hantyartham is Hananam, which is Svabhava Praptam. न शक्यम अप्राप्त क्रियार्थत्वम कल्पयितुम. So what happens is hanana kriya nivritya udasinya vyatirekena. So what does it bring about is hanana kriya nivritya udasinyam. This is an expression nivritya udasinyam. Nivritti rupa udasinyam or nivritti upalakshita udasinyam. So nivritti which brings about udasinyam, nivritti which becomes the, which is the upalakshanam, which is udasinyam as you said is pragabhava. So that nivritti or absence of hananam, which is audasinyam or which implies audasinyam, bring other than bringing about this audasinyam or inactivity, no positive activity is brought about by this nahantavya. Aprapta kriyarthatvam kalpayitum na shakyam. You cannot say that this na brings about kriya, aprapta kriya. That kriya which is not there, that kriya is brought about, such a thing does not happen. In case of yajeta, you are not doing yaga. And when you say here yajeta, then you start doing yaga. So yaga which was aprapta, meaning which was not there, is brought about by that instruction yajeta. But na hantavya, what does it do? The aprapta, some kriya was not in me, and some positive kriya is created. Such a thing is not here in case of na hantavya. That na being connected with hananam, all it does is nivritya udasinya. Hanana kriya nivritya udasinya. That udasinya which is implied by hanana kriya nivritti. Nivritti is what you can see, audasinya is what ultimately is. So that is all that is brought about by nahantavya, and not that some kriya in terms of sankalpa. I should not kill, I should not kill, I should not kill. That kind of sankalpa is not there. It may be there for a few minutes also. You know, when you are prepared to do something, and then it may last for the balavat anishta sadhanatvam, when you know that this is balavat anishta sadhanam, is going to land you into tremendous, and slowly, that also goes away. You become quiet, and never again do you think of that thing, you know. That's also audasinya, like fire, as Shankaracharya will explain subsequently, just as fire becomes quiet, having burned its fuel. So also, the audasinya is attained as a result of burning whatever kind of thing may be there, that this anishta sadhanatvam, that knowledge will burn any kind of tendency that may be there, and then the tendency also does not remain. The tendency is anadisiddha. The tendency to kill is there until he knows that killing is wrong. When he comes to know that killing is wrong, that tendency also goes away, and he just remains a person, even free from the tendency. That's what the Nisheda Shastra does, and that there is no positive kriya that is brought about by this Nisheda Vakya. This is the idea. We'll continue tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Kesavam Badarayanam Sūtra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ अथ तु समन्वयात् 180 अपि च ब्राह्मणो न हन्तव्यः इति चैवमाद्या निवृत्तिरुपदिश्यते न च सा क्रिया नापि क्रियासाधनम् अक्रियासानामुपदेशः अनर्थकश्चेत् ब्राह्मणो न हन्तव्यः इत्यादि निवृत्त्युपदेशानाम् अनर्थक्यं प्राप्तं तच्च अनिष्टं न च स्वभावप्राप्त हन्त्यर्थानुरागेण नयः शक्यम् अप्राप्तक्रियार्थत्वं कल्पयितुं हननक्रियानिवृत्त्य उदासीन्यव्यतिरेकेण is being shown how all this Nisheda Vakya, this Nisheda Shastra, Brahmano na hantavya and such other Vakyas, they have Siddhaparatvam. They also serve the purpose of revealing a certain fact, and that they do not, when we analyze the Vakya, we find that you cannot bring out the meaning that they enjoin something or they initiate some kind of an action. They bring about what we call nivritti or cessation or refrainment from an action. And therefore, so nacha sakriya, that nivritti, the cessation or refrainment, that is the effect of these statements, it is not a kriya, nacha kriya sadhan, because it is an absence of activity. So hanana abhavaha, when nakara is joined, na is joined with hananam, means han dhatu, then nahan means hanana abhavaha is what is stated here. An absence of killing, meaning absence of an action, is not kriya, because it is absence of kriya. Nacha kriya sadhanam, nor abhava, non-existence can be a means of some existent thing. And if you say that all right, in that case they are not the pramanam, so an akriyarthanam upadesha anarthakaschet. If you say that these akriyarthanam, meaning these nisheda vakyas which do not convey the kriya, then upadesha anarthakaschet. If you say that instruction about them is useless, brahmano na hantavya ityadi nivritti upadeshanam anarthakyam praptam, then all this na kalanjam na bhakshayeda, whatever it is, all of that actually anarthakyam praptam, all of them will have to be considered to be useless. Tacha anishtam, and that anarthakyam is not proper, that a whole section of Vedas or several statements of Vedas are considered to be meaningless or not pramanam, and therefore we will accept their arthavatvam, not anarthakyam. That nivritti also is arthavat, meaning the revealing effect of life also is arthavat, that's all. The idea is that revealing effect of life or revealing nature of things, there is anishta sadhanatvam, as it will explain, balavat anishta sadhanam. A very strong undesirability is involved in this particular action. And the hananam or killing is balavat anishta sadhanam, very strongly a means for the anartha, or anartha means suffering or undesirable. And so that is what is revealed here, and that is the purpose it serves. Says Ratna Prabha here on the page 181, Nanu Swabhavataha, meaning Ragataha, Praptena, Hantyarthena, Anuragena, Nayaha Sambandena Hetuna, Hanana Virodhini, Sankalpa Kriya Bodhyate. Question. He says, no, it is not that this Vakya, Brahmanona Hantavya, it does not merely enjoin a refrainment or a cessation of activity, but on the other hand, it brings about some kriya. Swabhavataha, Now he is being explained, Bhashya is being explained. Swabhava prapta hantyartha anuragena nayah aprapta kriyasatvam. This is Purvapaksha. And Siddhanta says, nacha kalpayitum shakyam. Says, no, that is not possible. So whenever these are statements like nacha, then the Purvapaksha and Siddhanta both are involved there. Purvapaksha is Swabhava prapta hantyartha anuragena nayah aprapta kriyarthatvam iti ched. This is the question. Then the answer is na. Na shakyam kalpayitum. So this is, that's why that Purvapaksha part is being expressed here by Ratnaprabha by Nanu. Nanu. So Swabhava prapta hantyartha anuragena. That expression is being explained by Ratnaprabhakara. Swabhavataha meaning ragataha. Swabhava means by nature. Nature here is ragadvesha. Likes not Satchidananda, but then ragadvesha. Swabhava is, so whatever tendencies or attitudes that one has brought with oneself as a result of the past actions. So this is called Swabhava, the Prakriti, the nature that one has brought with oneself as a result of the past actions, which involves both dharma and adharma. So there are tendencies here to do something good as well as to violate the order. So raga and dvesha, that's called Swabhava. So Swabhavataha means ragataha and dveshataha, both of them, on account of raga attachment and dvesha aversion. Praptena, in this case dvesha. Hanana kriya generally brings up, is from a result of dvesha. A strong and tremendous dvesha must be there before a person is willing to be prepared to kill somebody or hurt somebody. Anyway, Swabhavataha ragataha praptena hantyarthena anuragena. Hantyarthena is one. So hantyartha anuragena. Hantyarthena trutiya saharthe, as Purnanida says. So hantyarthena sah anuragena nayah. Anuragena means sambandhena. So this na means nakara has sambandha, has relation with what? Hantyarthena. Hanti arthena han. So of the hantavya, the na nakara is connected or associated or related to what? Han part or dhatu part, prakriti part. So anuragena meaning nayah sambandhena explains. Hetuna. So that anuragena or sambandhena, that trutiya is of the nature of hetu. Hetu or the reason is presented either by trutiya or by the apadana panchami, fifth case. So here anuragena. So on account of that, on account of anuraga or on account of sambandha or on account of relation that na has with this han, hanana, we say that brings about hanana abhava. We say that because na is connected with prakriti or han, that brings about the sense of hanana abhava. He says no, not hanana abhava or absence of killing, hanana virodhini sankalpa kriya bodhyate. We say that this vakya in fact instructs, or by this vakya is taught, hanana virodhini kriya, that something should be done that is opposed to killing. So Vedas will always tell you to do something. And therefore when it is said that a Brahmana should not be killed, that means that you should do something. Something should happen within you which is conducive to non-killing of the Brahmana. That's what he says. Hanana virodhini kriya. Hananam is a kriya. And na hananam means virodhi. So nakara here has several meanings. One meaning is abhava. Second meaning is virodha. So he says, why not nakara be interpreted as virodha? In fact, 6 meanings are there, and that is going to be brought up subsequently. If you look at the next page, there is a verse quoted that tat sadrishyam abhavascha tadanyatvam tadalpada aprashastyam virodascha nayartha shat prakirtitaha. So tat sadrishyam, or nakara even indicates sadrishyam, some similarity. That thing is not quite that, but then it is similar to that. Anikshuhu, standard illustration is given. Ikshu means sugarcane. Anikshu means some kind of a reed which is not quite sugarcane, has some similarity of sugarcane. That is called anikshuhu. Anikshuhu, ikshu means sugarcane. Anikshu means not that which is not sugarcane. something is not quite sugarcane but similar to sugarcane, has some similarity. Abhavascha, abhava is absence. So abhavaha, ghata abhavaha, absence of a part. There, so that shows what? The absence there. Bhutale, ghato nasti, nasti means is not there, shows the absence. Abhava, non-existence. Tat anyatvam, something other, like tad anyatvam, aghataha, somebody says. Aghataha means that which is not ghata. Abrahmana, the one who is not a brahmana. That is, aghataha, that which is not ghata, is something anywhere, like pata. So pata is called aghataha. Abrahmana, the fellow is not a brahmana. He is some fellow, all right. Aputraha, aputra devadattaha, aputraha devadattaha. So aputraha or aputra also, fellow is not a putra, but then acts like a putra. Brahmana is not, but abrahmana similarly shows anyatvam. Alpada, in sense alpa. Says here, what is it? Anudaram, udara. Udara means stomach. Anudaram, a small stomach, not absence of stomach. So this is how somebody has very small stomach or abdomen, we call that person anudaraha. Aprashastyam. Aprashastyam is to show something that is negative or something that is bad. Aprashastyam. Like adharmaha, akalaha, akaryam. Akalaha means bad kala, wrong time. Akarya means wrong thing to do. So wrong act is called akaryam, wrong time is called akala. And virodascha, opposite of it. Adharmaha is really, adharma is that which is opposed to dharma. So akala is not opposed to kala, is wrong kala. Akaryam is not opposed to karyam, wrong karyam. But adharma means what? Opposed to dharma. So in all these different sense, in sixth sense, this na is employed, so it is said. That will be brought up for discussion. But Varam is what? Virodascha. So Viroda is dharma and adharma. This is Viroda. Similarly also, hananam, na hananam. So na can be abhava, as it was interpreted earlier. Hanana abhava, absence of killing. He says, why not na be understood as Virodi, hanana Virodi, because that is also a adharma, etc., is a very valid meaning, and therefore, hanana Virodhini, sankalpa kriya bodhyate. We say that hanana Virodhini is a kriya. Hananam is kriya. No, hanana abhava is not a kriya. Absence of hananam is not kriya. But hanana Virodhini becomes kriya. Eating is a kriya. Not eating is not kriya. But something opposed to eating, whatever you are, that is called kriya. So hanana abhava is not kriya, but hanana Virodhini kriya bodhyate. If na is interpreted as Virodhi, then we say that hanana Virodhini kriya bodhyate. In fact, a person is asked to do something that is opposed to killing. So there is a killing instinct there. He is asked to do some kriya within, so that is that kriya which is opposed to the kriya of killing. Sacha, so sacha nayartha rupa, tatra apraptatvat vidhiyate, ahanam kuryadati. And therefore, sacha nayartha rupa. We say that it is not hanana abhava, but hanana virodhini kriya is nayartha rupa. That's what is the meaning of na or this nakara. Tatra apraptatvat. Says here, sankalpa kriya iti. Aprapta manasi sankalpa kriya ityartha. So tatra apraptatvat ahanam kuryad sankalpa kriya bodhyate. Aprapta manasi sankalpa kriya bodhyate. Bodha is something that is not there, that is being taught to you. So right now you do not have sankalpa of not killing. This says, may you make a sankalpa, I do not want to, I will not kill, I will not kill. May you maintain that kind of a sankalpa in your mind. Then the fellow always will have to do that. Brahmana no hantave, that's his kriya. Then all the time you have to maintain sankalpa, I should not kill Brahmana, I should not kill Brahmana, I should not kill Brahmana. That's not the case. But he says, this thing says that there must be a kriya, that sankalpa kriya bodhyate, ahananam kuryat. So, this is what it means. Brahmana no hantavya means ahananam brahmanasya ahananam kuryat. That a brahmana should not be killed. Meaning, may you maintain some kind of a sankalpa. May you have that mental activity or manasa vyapara which is conducive to ahananam or non-killing of brahmana. Tatra apraptatvad. So that is sankalpa kriya which was not there is vidhiyate. Vidhanam is apraptasya vidhanam here. That which is not there, apurva vidhi is that which is not there, like so yajeta. So agnihotram kuryat. In that case, agnihotram which was not there has been enjoined. So tatra praptatvad vidhiyate. If it is there, naturally there, then the vidhanam is not necessary. So nobody has to tell you to eat when you are hungry, because that vidhanam, because automatically when you are hungry you are going to eat. But then when you are hungry, you should eat a particular thing, that vidhana will be there. Or when you are hungry in a given condition, don't eat. Suppose you have typhoid, then don't eat even when you are hungry, let us say. Then that becomes vidhanam. Because that is something that does not naturally occur. Anyway, ahananam kuryadadi, so they say that ahananam kuryad, that kind of vidhi is involved here. Tathacha karyarthamidam vakyam. And therefore, this vakya is what? Karyartham. Karyartham means karya is artha or prayojanam is which vakya? This vakya has prayojanam in karya or a kriya. Iti ashankya nishedati nacha. Ashanka also is there and nisheda is there in nacha. Says Purnandiya here, nacha abhavo nama. So all right, how do you explain the word abhava also? Anyway, when you say hanana abhavaha, what is abhavaha? Abhava is absence of bhava or some other kind of bhava. You see, now right there also is nai. In abhava itself, how will you explain the word abhavaha? Bhava means existence. Abhava is non-existence or some other kind of existence. Like ghata abhavaha, non-existence or absence of part. Is merely an absence, or you say there is a pot here, there is a cloth here, and you say that pate ghato nasti, ghatanyanya bhava, ghate pato nasti, when you say that, so you say here that a pot is not there. That means something else is there. So even when you say one is not there, something else is there, and therefore, why not we say abhava is bhavantaram, meaning some other kind of bhava. Ghata abhava is pata bhava. Ghata abhava, absence of pot, meaning there is presence of cloth there, because some presence is there. He says, no, abhava should not be understood that way. Nacha abhava nama, he says, anyway, Shankitu abhipraya is first given. Nacha abhava nama bhavantar vyatirekana kaschidasti. This is what is abhava. Abhava is not total non-existence. It is non-existence of one thing characterized by existence of another thing. So when you say ghata abhava, then it is absence of part, non-existence of part, but existence of something else, maybe cloth or some other thing. So is Devadatta here? Devadatta is not here. When you say Devadatta is not here, someone else is here anyway. And therefore you say that so it is bhavantara. Devadatta is not there, but Yajnadatta is there. And so bhavantara means some other existence is there. It says abhava nama bhavantar vyatirekena na kaschidasti. Abhava or non-existence is nothing but another existence of something else. Yena tat paryavasitam vakyam syat tasmad bhavantar vidhuparam nisheda vakyam. So yena tat paryavasitam vakyam syat. Therefore you cannot say that this vakya abhava means non-existence. Abhava in fact. So this vakya should not be interpreted as culminating into absence of hanana kriya. But when hanana kriya is not there, some other kriya must be there.